Good morning. Welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, and Calvin Butenhoff coming to you live from our studio here at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us. You can call, you can text. The number is the same, 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching in the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Lots of things coming up for you on the show today. It's Mondays with Mr. Global. Matt Randolph will be joining us. Matt Randolph is an oil and gas industry expert. He's been in the business for 30 years, started working right out of high school on an oil rig. He also owns his own oil company, not Chevron. He's a little smaller.
No, boutique.
A boutique oil company. But he knows his stuff. He's got the facts. He's got the evidence. He's got enough to annoy everyone on all sides. So we're going to be talking to Mr. Global Matt Randolph coming up after the 10:30 news at 10:33. Next hour, we want to talk about, is it finally time for medical marijuana in Wisconsin?
Yeah.
Right? There's still a lot of
roadblocks. There it is.
There's the word. That's a good word. Roadblocks for that. But we'll be taking your calls after the 11 o'clock news. Would like to know how you feel about having medical marijuana made available in Wisconsin. Finally, a British television phone company is fighting back against scammers.
Oh,
it's pretty great.
In the best way.
It's pretty great. So we'll tell you about that at 11:33, and then we're going to wrap up the show today with This Shouldn't Be a Thing. What's in a Name edition? Something I found over the weekend. Yeah, it's pretty annoying. But don't forget that the statewide Text to Win grown-up gift list contest is underway this week. This is the last week for this contest. So here's how this works. In the 7, 11, 1, and 4 o'clock hours, you are given a keyword to text in, and you have to use the Civic Media app. So if you don't have it yet, go to wherever you get your apps, download the Civic Media app, and then after 11 o'clock, when we give out the keyword, you go to whatever station you're listening to or whatever station across the network is closest to you, and you text in that word. Mm-hmm. And that gets you in the running for one of two prizes that hour. In 11 o'clock, we're either playing for $100 cash or an overnight stay at Chula Vista Resort in Wisconsin Dells. Whether or not you win one of those prizes, everyone is in the running for one of 8 grand prizes, from espresso machines to robot vacuums to a snowblower to luggage to a humidifier, which we haven't given enough love to.
They're fine. They do their job.
But so stick around for that coming up after 11 o'clock. Be listening for the keyword that we will have for you then, and then you can text it in via the Civic Media app. I did want to start off, though. It seemed unusual to me that there were 2 of these stories.
Yeah.
And both of them from WISN ABC in Milwaukee. Headline reads, Franklin man rescued after falling through ice at Wind Lake. The man was walking along the lake to try to meet up with a group of friends who were ice fishing, according to the Burlington Police Department. 36-year-old Franklin man rescued after falling through the ice on Saturday, according to the Racine County Sheriff's Office. They got a call about 12:30 after a woman saw the man fall through the ice, who said, I was scared for him. When I saw him fall through, I was on 911. I did see him come back up. He tried to climb back out, but he fell back in. He went under a couple of times. I could finally see his head, and he was screaming for help. It was awful. The man, again, according to WISN, fell through the ice about 800 yards away from shore while walking across the lake to meet up with a group of friends who were ice fishing. He was able to keep his head above water by hanging onto the edge of the ice. Neighbors believe the ice was about 2 inches thick when he fell through. And then, same WISN, Pretty Lake ice rescue. Man pulled out of water by fishermen. The Western Lakes Fire Department got a call around 9 a.m. on Sunday. A group of ice fishermen helped save a man who fell through the ice on Pretty Lake. The group of fishermen used a rope to get him out. He was then brought by the group to a nearby boat launch. They gave him some dry clothes, put him in one of their vehicles to warm him up. They said the Western Lakes Fire District was training earlier this week on Pretty Lake. They want to remind everyone to be safe when out on the ice. Ice conditions are very unstable throughout the winter. because of a large number of springs in a lot of lakes. We have a lot of spring-fed lakes in Wisconsin. I guess my question is, and we have a lot of ice fishermen in Wisconsin.
Correct.
What is the thickness you look for before you venture out there?
Because 2 inches to me is not enough.
2 inches doesn't seem like very much. That seems like you could punch through that.
And for those who don't know, Franklin, in Ottawa, Wisconsin,
where Pretty Lake is.
Pretty Lake is in Waukesha County. Franklin is in Racine County, or that lake is in Racine County. Neither one of those places are experiencing frigid, cold temperatures and enough to freeze the water for long enough. We had that cold snap last week,
which lasted about 3 days,
but it was bookended by 40s and 50 degrees. And today, like right now in Racine where we're at, it's 46 degrees right now.
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, I don't think anyone should be out doing ice fishing right now. It does not seem safe enough.
I would wait. I would be waiting for at least 6 inches of ice.
Yeah, and when I say that, I mean southeastern Wisconsin. Right. I don't know about northern Wisconsin right now.
Right, but even we talked to Brittany Merlot on Thursday, Civic Media meteorologist, and she even said that in some of those areas, it's warm.
Yeah,
it's warm. These aren't the winters that we used to have.
And also, not to be like, nitpicky about it, it's not winter yet. We're just knocking on winter.
21st.
We need to get to that point. Get to January and February. Right now, it's not safe enough. I'm sorry. In fact, if I personally feel like the police and those, or whomever is who can be a part of that, there should be signs up saying, do not ice fish right now. Do not.
Danger, thin ice.
Yes, exactly. Or danger, no ice.
855-752-4842. Are you an ice fisher person? And how thick do you want the ice to be before you go out there? Again, I've never gone ice fishing. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe 2 inches is just fine. That doesn't seem like very much to me.
No.
855-752-4842. Or leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Just bringing this up because, again, I know that ice fishing is very popular in Wisconsin, but we want you to be careful. And we see at least a couple of these stories every year.
Yeah.
At least these 2 men were rescued. And
they weren't driving their cars.
And that's happened too.
Yep. We get that every single year. Someone thinks they're snow miser, Evel Knievel, and they decide to take their car out on the ice when the ice is too thin to support it. But yeah, I just feel like right now we are not far enough into the cold weather to support that kind of activity
and that kind of weight.
Or fish from the sides. I don't know, or fish over. There's plenty of options, but just going out there 800 yards offshore.
When I was growing up, my parents had a cottage on Druid Lake, which is in Washington County.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I grew up in the 60s and 70s, and winter started in October.
Yeah.
We had snow for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we don't get those winters really that much.
We really don't. Yeah. And so, we used to ice skate on the lake. We used to go snowmobiling on the lake, but there had to have been at least 6 inches. Mm-hmm. Calvin, are you an ice fisherman?
I am not. I've been once or twice, but I did find, I can't speak to the credibility of this. This comes from almanac.com. They have a safe ice thickness chart.
Okay.
It says 3 inches for a single person on foot, 4 inches for a group in a single file line, and 8 inches for a passenger car.
Well, in that one story said that guy was meeting his friends.
And I'm pretty sure they weren't all walking in a straight line.
Yeah, it just, to me, don't ask me to go on the ice unless honestly, because then you get like groups of people. I don't want to be on the ice unless there's at least a foot of ice, because you're asking then supporting shanties, people, cars, all these things. No, thank you. No, thank you.
If you're just joining us, we're talking about 2 stories from over the weekend where an ice fisherman had to be rescued. One at Pretty Lake in the town of Ottawa in Washington County, and the other happened in Franklin. Man fell through the ice at Wind Lake over the weekend. Both of them are fine. They were able to make it to shore, and they will recover. But just to give you a little bit of heads up, I would hate for anyone to get hurt. And I'm curious, How thick does the ice have to be before you will slide your shanty out there? 855-752. Maybe they're already on the ice and they can't call.
They should be able to hear us on the Civic Media app. It's free to download and available everywhere.
It is that.
We're available on ice. Matenaer On Air.
On ice.
Matenaer On Ice.
Matenaer on ice. Be careful out there.
Please.
Good luck with the fishing. I hope you get lots of fishes.
Don't take chances.
Yeah, not if you don't have to. Give it a couple more weeks.
Yeah.
At least.
I'll buy you some fish.
Right? I mean, we have 40s now for the next couple of days.
Yeah, it's not, and I don't imagine that lakes are going to maintain any sort of
integrity. Ice
yes.
integrity.
No, everywhere I'm driving now, I see like ice and then water. It's melting. It is melting at a rate.
Bill from Oconomowoc is on the line. Good morning, Bill. Thanks for joining us. How thick does the ice have to be before you're going out there?
Might never gets thick enough for me anymore. When I was younger, I used to ice fish. I used to drive on the ice, do all that crazy stuff. So a friend of mine started an underwater recovery, and I quickly changed all my habits, including me walking on the ice. My point of calling is my son, who used to serve in Western Lakes recovery and all that kind of stuff. They do ice recovery and ice stuff. I think people who are ignorant enough to drive on there and fall through should be charged fully for what it costs those people to risk their lives to go out and save them.
You make a good point, Bill. What they do is so dangerous. What they do is so dangerous and very, very expensive, I'm sure. That's why we just trying to give folks a heads up. Be careful. Maybe wait a couple more weeks before you decide to slide the shanty out there and do some ice fishing. Thank you, Bill. Really appreciate you checking in.
Yeah.
Always appreciate you listening. Rob from Port Edwards, we will take you when we return. You're listening to Matenaer On Air. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. Good morning. Welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, and Dr. Slide on the board, coming to you live from our studio here at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us, call or text. The number is the same, 855-752-4842. That's 855-75-CIVIC. Or leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Coming up later on today, 2 to 4 p.m., The Maggie Dawn Show. Maggie will take a deep dive into the presidential cabinet that is shaping up for a second Trump administration. Boy, those people have a lot of money.
Yep. A lot of opinions, too.
Lots of opinions, lots of cash. The new Trump administration, Maggie Dawn, will be diving into that today from 2 to 4 p.m., so you can join her. Right before we went to the break, talking about two stories over the weekend where men had to be rescued ice fishing. One on a lake in Ottawa, in the town of Ottawa, on Pretty Lake, and the other one was in Franklin.
It was in Franklin.
It was in Franklin. Fortunately, the guys are okay, but again, I would be very, very wary right now of going out on the ice just because it hasn't been cold enough. And the question is, what is your standard? Where do you wait? How thick does it have to be before you're going to take the chance?
What's your level of thickness?
What's the thickness level of ice? Rob from Port Edwards, thank you for your patience. Rob, how you doing this morning?
Good morning, folks. Good morning, folks. A lovely sunny day. Yeah, it's beautiful here. I lived on 3 different bodies of water. Currently, I'm on the Wisconsin River, but I lived on Lazy Lake, which is the headwaters for the crawfish, and it's a very circuitous flowage is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And what people didn't realize is that you have a river current running through there, slow as it is, but it thins the ice out because you're getting fresh water, warmer water, so the edges are thick, but if you get out in the middle, not so much. And Green Lake is the exact opposite. The lake is a couple hundred feet deep in an average. And if they dropped a snowmobile or a UTV or God forbid a car in that lake, I have no idea, to that fellow's point about a federal charge. I don't know about that, but we just had a guy on a kayak go to live in Georgia, in Europe, to escape, and they were down there. It takes a lot of money, a lot of effort to retrieve something.
Yeah.
You have to do it. You have to get it out of there. If the ice is going to be 4 or 5 inches, I'm good on that. Again, if it's not a river, if it's a river or your spring-fed lake, that's another thing. Then I'd be a little more going to the 6 inches. Driving a car, I just don't do that anymore. I used to take my Jeep, which didn't weigh hardly anything, and I was a bold and idiot person to do that.
But I mean, that just speaks to too, Rob, though, how much winters have changed.
They have. They clearly have. Even like Winnebago, they were struggling last year to do their sturgeon spearing thing, which is like, I mean, that's the holy grail. It's the Hajj.
Yep. Yeah, you got to be careful. Thank you so much, Rob. Really appreciate it. Tony Z emailed or texted this in. Recommended minimum ice thickness. Rough guidelines for new clear ice only. 2 inches or less. This is from the DNR. Stay off of it. 4 inches for ice fishing. 5 inches of ice for snowmobiles. 8 to 12 inches for a car or a small pickup. 12 to 15 inches for a medium truck. And 100 plus inches for Godzilla. So obviously based in science.
And for those Star Wars fans, it's 30 to 40 inches for an AT-AT.
Thank you.
AT-AT.
I wasn't sure what that was.
Empire Strikes Back, gigantic 4-legged creatures on the ice planet of Hoth. Ice planet Hoth, very thick ice. It's an ice planet. Drive your car wherever you want.
There.
Drive your car wherever you want.
If you're on that planet.
Exactly.
Yes. Steve from Hayward, listening on WBZH, shared a picture of Lake Spooner, and it's open water. You can see that it looks like waves, little waves to me.
Yeah.
You definitely want to be careful. We just don't want you to. And as Sue from Franklin texted in as well and said, it puts first responders at risk. It really absolutely does. That's very dangerous. And in my previous iteration at a different station, I had to talk to someone who does ice rescues. And it's a very complicated, very dangerous procedure. And like Rob mentioned, the depth of Green Lake, for example, that makes it it's murky down there. It's
Yeah.
not like you're swimming in the Caribbean looking for stuff.
No, and
It's
honestly,
very silty.
unless my car, the butt of my car is sticking out of the water, I'm letting my car go. There's no
Cars going bye-bye.
No.
Well, that happened on Lake Geneva a couple of years ago during their ice festival. Do you remember that?
Oh my God, yeah.
So during the ice festival they were having in Lake Geneva, some people decided to park on the ice. Yeah, that didn't end so well.
No, thank yous.
At least they were right by the shore, but even so, that's not something you want to have happen.
That's something that should not exist.
So please be careful. Wait until things thicken up a little bit ice-wise because we want you to be safe.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, news is coming up in just a little bit. When we return, we're going to be talking to Matt Randolph. He is Mr. Global. You can find him. He has his own channel on YouTube.
Yes, youtube.com/Mr. Global Oil Expert.
Oil Experts. And he also is affiliated now with the publication The Dispatch.
Look at him being all famous.
I know. He's very, very knowledgeable. He's been in the oil and gas industry for more than 30 years. And we're going to talk about tariffs.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about the XL pipeline.
Yes.
And
yes.
if you ever have questions, he's got extensive videos on his YouTube channel that cover just about any question you might have. If you're going to ask him a question, be prepared.
I was going to say, ask him a question. Ask the question, then he'll answer. What I would not advise doing is going on your channel or you're making a video where you with all of the
Things.
The hubris tell the world what you think is going to happen in the world of gas, oil, and energy, because he will find it and he will dress you down and he will make you look very ignorant on the topic.
Well, just make sure you know what you're talking about because he will have no compunction in setting you straight.
Exactly. That's
He's
why I
very good at that.
That's why I stopped all my videos on oil and gas. They're done.
Jeff, by the way, checking in on a live stream says it was in Racine County. The man is from Franklin. Thank you. That lake was in Racine County.
Gotcha.
Either way, it's southeastern Wisconsin. Stay off the ice for now.
Yeah.
Just do that. All right. News is coming up next. Stay close. You are listening to Matenaer On Air. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. Good morning and welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, and Sweet Cal B coming to you live from our studio here at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us. You can call. You can text. The number is the same. It's 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and the platform that used to be Twitter. We are waiting to be joined by Mr. Global, Matt Randolph, oil and gas industry expert. Just a little behind. I'm hoping we did not get our signals crossed. We emailed last week, and he said that the flu took him down pretty hard last week and the week before. But again, we are waiting to be joined by Mr. Global so we can do Mondays with Mr. Global, Matt Randolph. While we're waiting for him to join us, there was a pipeline spill in Wisconsin.
Yep.
Enbridge Pipeline spills nearly 70,000 gallons of crude oil in Jefferson County. This from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. The spill is Enbridge's worst in Wisconsin, even worse than a 2012 incident that spilled 50,000 gallons in Adams County. The spill first noticed November 11th in the town of Oakland. It happened during a routine inspection by a technician with Enbridge. The discharge happened on Line 6, which was built in 1968.
How often has it been maintained?
The pumping station was shut down and isolated. They excavated the area. The source of the spill was repaired, and the station was back online. Enbridge said Friday the spill was because of a faulty connection on a pump transfer pipe. And the pipeline was likely leaking for an extended period of time. According to the report, December 11th, an estimated 1,650 barrels or 69,300 gallons spilled. Enbridge, which of course is a Canadian company, said that soil removal is ongoing. It already estimates about 60% of the affected soil has been removed. Enbridge immediately reported the release to state and federal regulators, and they're working with the Wisconsin DNR for cleanup. The extent of the damage and whether or not any waterways have been harmed, not immediately clear as of Friday. The DNR says it's working with Enbridge on the investigation and degree of impacts and cleanup. Enbridge failed to report a spill in early 2019 for more than a year, even though the company was well aware that a large amount of oil substance had been released near Fort Atkinson, also in Jefferson County. At the time, DNR said that Enbridge was violating the law and could face fines. Midwest Environmental Advocates provides legal support to people who exercise their right to protect natural resources. Their executive director, Tony Wilkin-Gibbert, says, quote, the close to 70,000 gallons of leaking crude from Enbridge's Line 6 in Jefferson County shows why we've challenged DNR's approval of the Line 5 reroute and why we specifically challenged DNR's conclusion that the risk of a spill in Line 5 is small. The harm this pipeline could cause to Wisconsin waters and the climate is guaranteed to be significant and could be catastrophic. And again, we're waiting for Matt Randolph, Mr. Global, to join us, and I'm sure he could address this. But we've talked about this many times.
Yeah.
Pipelines don't produce oil.
No.
Pipelines move oil.
Yep.
That's all they do is they're a conduit
Yes.
to move oil from Canada, because this is Canadian oil.
Yes.
To move oil from Canada to either ports where it can be exported around the world.
Yes.
So when you hear some folks talk about, we need more pipelines because so our prices will go down, that doesn't affect the price of oil and gas.
No, as we've said before, and as Mr. Global has pointed out to us, the cost of fuel in this company, the cost of gas in this country has to do not with who's sitting in the White House right this moment. It's about who is making the deals while sitting in the White House at some time. And he points to the OPEC 2020 deal on a very regular basis in his videos. Donald Trump begging for them to cut production, and then
increase production.
Increase production, and then the oil prices go up, the gas prices go up, and right now, I mean, I'm looking at gas prices around me about between $2.40 and $2.60.
Oh, really?
A gallon, yeah.
I want to say I paid $2.52, I think, on Friday.
Okay. Yeah. So that has to do that. I mean, that's not because Joe Biden's in office either.
No.
It's because the terms of that deal had ended, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So,
well, and actually, President Biden is the one who reworked that deal with the Saudis because their increase in production under Trump was for 2 years, which, again, from what Matt has told us previously, that's a really long time to ask them to increase their output. Normally, it's a couple of months.
Yes.
And this was 2 years.
2 years.
So President Biden went back to the Saudis and said, can you stop flooding the market? Because one of the other results of that deal with the Saudis was that our own oil industry started seeing losses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We lost refining capacity. We lost rigs. The rig count went down under Donald Trump.
And another thing that they talk about too are the quote unquote lack of drilling. Because I mean, it's always drill, baby, drill, more drilling. Let's get more oil. We are producing as a country a tremendous amount of oil. We are exporting a huge amount of oil. And we have all of these, I don't know the official terms that were released, but like basically contracts, they're leases.
Yes, they're leases.
They weren't able to be filled because we didn't have enough oil companies to fill them all. So there are currently a great deal of leases available from the government to get on, to get oil out there. But we've got so much happening right now, they're not able to be filled. They're just not, I mean.
Well, it's not cost effective.
Yeah.
It's not going to be cost effective for these companies. Again, the cheaper gas is, or that doesn't do our oil companies any good.
Mm-hmm.
And they're only going to invest more money in more rigs and more drilling and all of that if they are going to make money.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem that complicated.
No, it doesn't. I feel like if I can get it, anyone can get it.
Alicia on the live stream had a really good question. And Alicia, if Mr. Global makes it, I will absolutely ask him about this. But what does Mr. Global think of the Premier of Ontario threatening to shut down energy to the U.S.? How will that affect us here in Wisconsin? That would have some pretty drastic effects because, again, going back to our previous conversations with him, we will always need imports of some kind because when you talk about oil, it's a pretty broad umbrella.
Yeah.
We're talking about natural gas, which we produce a great deal of.
Yeah.
But, it's complicated.
It's very complicated. Greg on the live stream says he had a doctor's appointment. Gas was $2.57 at the airport Shell in Ashwaubenon, which is suburban Green Bay. I mean, the gas is pretty decent right now.
It really is.
I don't know of any area in Wisconsin where it's breaking $3 even. And whenever it seems to be creeping up towards $3 or over $3, people start freaking out saying, well, this is just government spending run amok and how could
it's a global marketplace.
It's a global marketplace. The prices go up, they come down. And right now we are enjoying some cheaper gas. Now,
if you would go to his YouTube channel, and again, it's Matt Randolph, Mr. Global.
It's the official page is
the official page because he has all kinds of impersonators
on YouTube. Go to YouTube because that's where he has long form videos as well. He has short videos, medium, and long videos there. But if you go to youtube.com/@Mr_Global_oil expert, that's him.
We'll put that in the show notes.
It's already in the show
notes. He's already got it in the show notes.
Yeah.
But he was talking about when we see the average national gas price.
Mm-hmm.
And I think right now the average national gas price is around $3.25 or something like that.
I will look that up right now.
You can look that up. But in one of his latest videos, Mr. Global talks about how that's not really a good barometer because of California.
Yes, that's something I never
considered.
So right now, the average in America is $3.024. So $3.02 essentially.
Right.
Wisconsin is $2.76 or $2.77. I'm sorry, as of today. Both prices are of today. He had that video where he talked about the fact that California's prices are going up into the $4. He said they're going to be knocking on $5 soon.
After the first of the year.
So when you see those averages, that's not a representative of the entire country.
Right. Because there are so many people in California and so many drivers in California, they skew the average. And so keep that in mind when you hear, average oil price, the average oil price of gas in the country is this. Well, again, with California being a great big outlier, because I believe they have more state taxes that are kicking in after the first of the year. And in that latest video of his, he pointed out that they're going to be paying like another 60 cents per gallon. And again, be knocking on the $5 a gallon door.
And really, folks, what this all comes down to is that it's a much more nuanced discussion than just blame the president.
Yeah.
Or drill, baby, drill. Or some simple 10-word soundbite that a politician can give you to say, I'm going to do this and make all the oil and gas and the energy cheaper. No, you can't do that.
You really can't do that.
There's no snap of the finger silver bullet fix. That's just
or a mechanism.
No.
A mechanism to do that. Jack from Merrimack is joining us. Good morning, Jack. What did you want to say about this?
Yeah, I have a proposition for helping stabilize the cost of oil and helping it continue to drop. Get serious about replacing fossil fuels with green energy. You can't move a hydroelectric plant, so you can't export that, so it's not responsible to the international market. You can't move solar panels, so it's not going to be responsible to the international market. If you do that, that'll be a start. And what you do is you use those as the sources for our electric grid. You gradually, of course, you can't do it instantaneously,
right.
But you gradually convert over. And of course, you convert to electric cars. You would need, of course, the same kind of electric charging stations that you have, filling stations. You'd need them about that often, probably, for electric cars. But there is even a financial fix for that. We essentially pay oil companies to pull their oil out of the ground through our tax dollars with a thing called the depletion allowance. For every gallon of oil these companies pull out of the ground, they get a huge tax break. They're making billions, tens of billions. I know, I own stock in one of them. And they're not going to lose a lot of money. Oil is used for plastics. Oil is used for the basics for making pharmaceuticals.
For everything.
It really is.
Yeah. And so if you stop burning it, the price will definitely be going to go down. And if you take those billions of dollars that are given away to oil companies with the depletion allowance, and you put them into establishing charging stations at every place where there's a gas station, or at least most of them, you can solve that transportation issue as well.
Appreciate the call, Jack. Thank you so very, very much. And we did actually just have a big solar project approved in Wisconsin. Public Service Commission of Wisconsin approved construction of a $2 billion solar project that could have more than 1,300 MWs of generation capacity. I'm going to pretend. Oh, thank you. Yes, I knew what that meant.
Megawatts.
We're still, we must have missed signals with Mr. Global. We'll see if we can get him on for this last segment. Stay with us. You are listening to Matenaer On Air. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. Good morning. Welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, and Sweet Cal B coming to you from our studio here at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us. Call or text. The number is the same, 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Don't forget, you still have time if you have not yet.
To do what, Jane?
Download the Civic Media app because you're going to need it after the 11 o'clock news.
Oh.
To take part in our statewide Text to Win grown-up gift list contest. So after the 11 o'clock news, we will have a keyword for you that you need to text in via the Civic Media app. And if you do that, you are in the running for either $100 in cash or an overnight getaway to Chula Vista Resort in Wisconsin Dells. And then everyone who enters, whether you win one of those prizes or not, you are going to be in the drawing for one of 8 grand prizes: robot vacuums, a snowblower, espresso machine.
Okay.
Nicely done, Vanna White.
Thank you.
That's all coming up after 11 o'clock. Make sure you download the Civic Media app. And we're going to do this every day this week. This is the last week of the contest in the 7 a.m., 11 a.m., 1 p.m., and 4 p.m. hours. And there's ways to pick up bonus entries, too.
Yes, once you enter, if you haven't already used your bonus entry, you will get a text back. Now, please remember, if you have texted stop after this,
If you blocked our texts, you're not going to get this.
you won't get anything from us, period. So
Right.
if you want to get that extra vote or the extra,
Entry.
thank you.
Bonus entry.
You will send in your entry. You will get a response from us. It will lead you to a website where you can, sign up for our newsletter,
Which is a great newsletter.
exactly, no spam mail here. Thank you very much. And then that'll get you a bonus entry. And then there you go. And as far as the app goes, it's a great app to have anyways, because you can listen to us anywhere. Even Tony says, if I was visiting the International Space Station, would the app still work? I'm not a scientist and I'm not an engineer, but I'm going to say yes.
Why not?
Why not?
Sure.
Everybody else gets to say stuff that isn't true. Why can't I?
Before we went to the break, we were talking about we were supposed to be joined by Mr. Global, Matt Randolph. We obviously got our signals crossed, and we will try and get him on before Christmas. He's very busy and important.
He is busy.
He's now doing things with the Dispatch, and he has his own YouTube channel, which I highly encourage you to subscribe to, because then when you're at a cocktail party over the next couple of weeks and people bring up how Donald Trump is going to lower all the gas prices and everything's going to be great, you can have some you can have some facts. That's what they're called. You can have some facts to counter those arguments.
Hey, listener, do you want to ruin your friend's good time at a party? No, honestly, it's true, though. I mean, we hear it all the time. People just saying these things. It's just because Trump says it.
Right.
I'm going to cut energy by 50%.
And that's going to save us all so much money.
How are you going to do that? Tariffs. Wait a minute. And then it's going to go to childcare too. You have no course of action, do you, sir?
Yeah. No, find Mr. Global on YouTube and subscribe. He is fantastic.
Yes.
And we did mention again right before we went to the break that the Public Service Commission in Wisconsin did approve construction of a $2 billion solar power project. It's going to sit on 6,000 acres in Portage County. Vista Sands is the group. Vista Sands is a subsidiary of Philadelphia-based company Doral Renewables.
Okay.
So it is a privately held company. Construction is expected to begin in 2026.
All right.
That's a step in the right direction.
That's what Jack was talking about in the previous segment. He was talking about the fact we need to invest time, energy, and money. Because, we cannot snap our fingers and just go directly to an electric grid. It's going to take decades.
It is going to take decades.
Not a week, not 2 weeks, not even like an administration. It's going to take a firm investment from this country, our lawmakers, and the ability to say no to some of these huge corporations.
And Calvin found a great article in the Cap Times, too, how southern Wisconsin could become a nuclear fusion mecca. And I believe, and we haven't talked to Mr. Global about this very much, but I believe he is a supporter of nuclear facilities because they are supposed to be pretty clean.
Clean and safer.
For people of my generation, you hear a nuclear power plant and it brings up all kinds of bad memories.
Yeah.
But that's decades ago.
That's at least, well, last one was Fukushima,
Right, but that was tsunami related, wasn't it?
I believe, but it's still,
It's still, right.
yeah,
Yeah, granted.
yeah. Yeah, I don't honestly, as far as the nuclear thing, I don't know where I fall because honestly, I don't know enough. So when we do have him on, maybe he can give us
Talk
a
about
nice
this.
explanation on the pros and the cons of nuclear and get it from a real expert, which is what he is.
Galvin, you have an opinion on this, don't you?
Yeah, I just remember seeing this article like a few weeks ago, even though it's from the beginning of October. I think, again, I don't know too much about it, but if I'm remembering correctly from when Mr. Global talked about it, I think he said another advantage would be like solar and wind takes huge modifications to the power grid to function, whereas with nuclear power, the existing coal power plants are very easy to
kind of plug in there.
convert. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Retrofit.
So that's another advantage. But yeah, I think whatever we can do to eliminate fossil fuels is great.
And as Greg pointed out, it's going to take a very, very long time because oil is in so many things that we use.
Well, and not to mention the companies that run oil are in so many aspects of our lives with regard to lobbying and lawmaking and, local, state, and federal, depending on where you live. It's going to take an investment from them. So.
That it is. All right, stay close. News is coming up next. When we return, is it time for medical marijuana in Wisconsin? You're
Yes.
listening to Matenaer On Air, coming to you across the vast, statewide, countrywide, potentially global, potentially orbital Civic Media Radio Network. Good morning and welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, and Calvin Butenhoff coming to you live from our home at Radio Park here in Racine. You can always join us. You can call, you can text, you can leave a comment. If you're watching on the live stream, they have their own party going on over there on Facebook, YouTube. It is fun. And the platform that Jabba the Musk continues to actively ruin. Coming up at 11:30, they are fighting back against phone scammers in England with a unique tool. And we're going to talk about that. Of course, we will wrap up the show as we always do now with This Shouldn't Be a Thing. Today, it is the What's in a Name edition. So stay tuned for that. Right now, as promised, grab your cell phone, pull up the Civic Media app, whatever station you're listening to across the state, go to the text button and text the word lights, LIGHTS. Text the word lights. This hour we are playing for an overnight stay at Chula Vista Resort. Everyone who enters is going to be in the grand prize drawing for one of 8 grand prizes for our grown-up gift list statewide text to win contest. Everything from espresso machines to robot vacuums to a snowblower to luggage. This hour's word is lights, LIGHTS. And you are playing for an overnight stay at Chula Vista Resort, so good luck.
I believe I ordered some pomp and circumstance with my word. Calvin didn't get the chance. Calvin, give me some pomp and circumstance.
The word this hour is lights, LIGHTS. Are you happy now?
I love the pew pew.
Text the word lights, LIGHTS. You have until noon. And don't forget, if you haven't yet used your extra entry, when you text the word lights on the Civic Media app, you will get a response back from us, provided you haven't blocked the messages.
Yes.
And if you click on that link, that will give you a couple of different options, like signing up for our newsletter, and you'll get a bonus entry.
Yeah.
Just one.
Just one bonus entry, but that gives you one more.
One more chance.
I mean, you get 4 chances a day. 4 times. You get 20 chances a week. 21.
Look at you.
Doesn't 21 sound so much better than 20?
Mathing live.
Oh my gosh.
So impressive.
My mathematical abilities are good. They're so good.
Text the word lights, LIGHTS, and good luck your next chance in the 1 o'clock hour with the still out on the West Coast, Todd Alba. He was at the game last night.
Fancy pants.
I know. Next chance with Todd in the 1 o'clock hour, and then with Dom Salvia between 4 and 5 p.m. So keep it right here on the Civic Media Network. As promised, I would love to know how you feel about this. Headline reads, this is from WPR. Hesselbein to revive medical marijuana bill as Senate Democrats sway new power. This article from Anya van Wagtendonk with 18 Republicans and 15 Democrats. I think they're going to need our votes to get anything done. Diane Hesselbein is the Senate Democratic leader.
Mm-hmm.
She says she will introduce a bill to legalize medical marijuana the next legislative session and thinks it could stand a chance after the Democrats picked up 4 seats in the chamber and ended the Republican supermajority. So with 18 Republicans and 15 Dems, they're going to need our votes to get anything done. Although that doesn't always seem to be their priority.
No.
Accomplishing things.
No. Does anybody want an impression of how they run meetings in Wisconsin? We're in session. We're done.
Gavel in, gavel out.
Have a good day. And that's on top of a 10-month vacation.
Yeah. Hesselbein, a Democrat from Middleton, said she's already spoken with some GOP leaders, including Senate Majority Leader Devin LeMahieu and Senate President Mary Spelskowski, both Republicans. Devin LeMahieu has been pretty consistent with being against this, hasn't he?
Yeah. Yes, he has. What's funny is that the most open-minded person that's been in the GOP that has been vocal about it has been Robin Voss. But open on his terms.
It was the whole state run.
Yeah, this year he put forth a bill that would legalize medical marijuana, and the legalization terms was probably the strictest in the country. You had it was basically like you had to be suffering from
One of 5 things.
One of 5 things. You had to have an actual, like, your doctor's note, and then there would be, I think, 5 state-run dispensaries, because the party of less spending and less government. Let's create a whole new agency, build new buildings, and make it that happen that way. But it died very quickly, and it didn't even go to the Senate.
No.
Devin Lemmy, doesn't like to bring up bills in the Senate. He's not a fan.
Stop trying to make him get things done.
I know.
Please. He's had a pretty good run all this time with not accomplishing anything. Why start now?
Why sully that
Ruin
record?
your record.
Yeah.
The most recent Democratic-authored marijuana legislation bill called for full recreational and medicinal usage in Wisconsin. No Republicans signed on to that. And Diane Hesselbein says she still thinks that recreational legalization is a non-starter.
I don't disagree with that. I think when you are in a state like Wisconsin that we are surrounded by legal marijuana. I think with the exception of Iowa, it's both legal and recreational. Recreational is going to be hard to do. So just let's one step at a time. And by the way, folks, I know if you're watching the live stream, this is hard to believe. I don't smoke weed. I just think it doesn't make sense to have this be illegal when and see our tax dollars, our spending revenue and tax dollars going to other states. It has been shown time in and time again that marijuana legalization provides hundreds of millions of dollars in tax relief. The problem, Jane, is that we have a GOP running Madison who thinks that's great. We'll take in all that money and then we'll just look at it
and count it.
We'll count it. And then we'll give it back to the people in such little increments that we can say, hey, we give the money back to you.
We gave you a tax cut.
I hope you enjoyed that $44.
Unless you're on the upper end, of course, when you tend to get a much larger bump from those tax cuts. Calvin?
Well, I think it's the lawmakers in Wisconsin need to grow up and realize, they feel like the elementary schoolers who just watch Dare and are like, we are never going to do drugs. That is so bad. It will mess you up forever.
I am scared straight.
Marijuana is probably one of the more nuanced substances there are. I think there is definitely room for regulation and laws restricting its use. But the fact that it can generate so much revenue for the state and the fact that we encourage alcohol and tobacco consumption, it doesn't make sense that it's not legalized.
Well, and Alicia on the live stream says we'll have to ask Robin Voss if he's still bought and paid for by the Tavern League.
Well, okay. I know I had to eat some pretty big crow on that one. Dan Schaefer did a deep dive on this topic earlier this year, and it has always been the belief that the Tavern League is the reason why legalization isn't happening.
Right. Dan
Schaefer called the Tavern League, and the lady he spoke to get an answer said, we don't sponsor any sort of blockage. We have no fight in this whatsoever. People say it all the time. We are not lobbying because as a group that has a lobbying arm, they have to register as lobbyists and what they are doing there, what their business
they're lobbying for.
And they're not lobbying against marijuana legalization.
Interesting.
At least out in the open on public records. Behind closed doors, I don't know, but I do not. And that's not me trying to spread a rumor, but I trust Dan Schaefer, and Dan Schaefer did the digging. And I'd been saying for years, it's the Tavern League. Well, it's not.
Well, and I think I don't know that I buy the argument that if we legalize recreational marijuana, people aren't going to go to bars anymore.
Oh, yeah,
right? I don't see that as a guarantee.
No, I know people who get high and drink. I know people who get high. I know people who drink. I know people who go to bars and don't drink. People are complex.
Well, and they're going for the socialization if you want to go out to a bar.
So, this notion that it's going to somehow
kill the Tavern League?
No, it's not. It's not going to. Wisconsin is we have a huge drinking problem here. It's not legalization of marijuana is not going to help that.
No, it's not. Matt from Middleton texting in, CBD and the gummies help with pain relief and help folks not turn to dangerously addictive and powerful pharmaceuticals. I would agree with that. And I know, again, in my previous job, when I had the opportunity to talk to some veterans who suffer from many different things, from PTSD to, and they don't want to take pills
No.
when they can say what you will about marijuana. It is a naturally occurring substance.
Yep. Yeah, Kelvin?
Well, this is, I guess, a broader political point, and less so about Wisconsin. But I think maybe the Republicans, especially on the national level, get to push things that might not even happen or that really fires up their base. I don't understand why national candidates from the Democratic Party haven't taken up for marijuana legalization. And maybe Kamala Harris, with her history as a DA, wasn't the right person to deliver that message. But I think a Democrat running on marijuana legalization could get some momentum behind them.
Cory Booker did try to introduce legislation into the Senate a few years ago. Didn't go anywhere. Every time a comic comes to the Laughing Tap, they'll stand on stage and say, marijuana is legal in Wisconsin, right? And you hear just a sea of no. And they're shocked because they think, not that we're like
Behind.
drunks and potheads, that we're behind, that we're not as progressive.
John from Oshkosh texting in, I'm generally progressive, but I don't buy the legalization of this. The cost to social programs will offset any tax revenue. Look at alcohol. Marijuana is addictive and leads to issues with all areas of someone's life. I worked in corrections, had people who couldn't quit pot, lost jobs, lost families, lost freedoms because they couldn't quit even though they wanted to. I still work on human services, and I see the negative effect it has on people's lives. I'm not disputing your lived experience, John. I don't doubt that that's the case for some, but I still think that if we're going to compare the destruction of alcohol versus the destruction of marijuana, I still think booze is worse.
And I personally do not think people get addicted to marijuana. I think they get addicted to getting high. There's a difference. And we can keep this going. I just don't agree with that.
You are listening to Matenaer On Air. We will be right back. Stay close. You're listening to the Civic Media Radio Network. Good morning. Welcome back to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, and Calviente on the board, coming to you from our studio here at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us. Call, text, leave a comment on the live stream if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter after the 11:30 news. There is a new effort in England to stop phone scammers, and it's pretty unique.
It's amazing.
It is pretty cool. So we're going to kick that around a little bit. We will wrap up the show as we always do with This Shouldn't Be a Thing. Today it's the What's in a Name edition. And if you ever see a story that you think that shouldn't be, send it in to Greg and me at Jane Says, JANESAYS, Jane Says at civicmedia.us. You can also use that email if you ever have a topic you think we should discuss, maybe a guest you think we should have on, something going on in your community that you would like us to highlight. Please email us at janesays at civicmedia.us. And don't forget, it is underway this hour, our statewide Text to Win grown-up gift list Text to Win contest. The word this hour is lights, LIGHTS. The word you want to text via the Civic Media app is lights, LIGHTS. It's your chance to pick up an overnight stay at Chula Vista Resort in Wisconsin Dells and then be in the drawing for one of 8 grand prizes. Contest is going to wrap up at the end of this week.
Get that extra vote, people.
Get that extra vote. We could use it. We could absolutely use it. Text the word lights, LIGHTS, via the Civic Media app. Before we went to the break, we were talking about a potential of bringing up medical marijuana bill now that Democrats have picked up a few seats in the assembly, and just going through a couple of texts that have been coming in that I wanted to share before we move on from this. We have Steve from Milwaukee says alcohol is definitely more destructive for many people over marijuana. John from Oshkosh, which I think is an interesting point. Booze may be worse now because it's legal and everywhere and has been that way for decades. Prolonged marijuana use makes organic changes to the brain and neural pathways. Matt from Germantown checking in. Marijuana isn't physically addictive as are other drugs like booze, in that you don't go into withdrawals in the same way, but almost anything is addictive, and addiction to marijuana in that aspect is a real thing.
I don't know. It's just, for me, I have friends who've been smoking weed since middle school. They are productive people. They have children. They're
productive members of society.
They are not missing. They didn't, did they miss class? Maybe, but they're not dangerous. They're not ne'er-do-wells. They're not thieves. Where their brains are now versus 25, 30 years ago, they don't seem rotted out. The fact that if somebody has an individual reaction to marijuana, that's for them to deal with. Those cases cannot be held to keep progress back. The progress being hundreds of millions of dollars in tax revenue, small businesses being created, jobs, not to mention the fact that if you have a good market, people will come to you. I know a lot of people complain about Illinois, portions, taxes, availability, the secret corporate underhanded way they do it down there versus Michigan. But it's not a viable. Some people you work with, maybe like just being too much of a weed head, is not a viable reason to keep progress behind. And as they've said before, alcohol is available without a problem, and it's been around for hundreds of years.
But causes lots of problems.
Yes, absolutely.
Len from Madison texting in, there's a considerable difference between a psychological dependence and a physiological addiction.
Yeah.
And another texter listening in Green Bay on WGBW, hemp products are legal under the 2018 Farm Bill. Delta 8 and 9 low levels and 10 are legal. It's sold in many locations in the state, which is interesting to me.
Which I wanted, we didn't get to. And
why that's allowed.
Because they're hemp-based and I believe they're synthesized, but also you can get high in this state. You can go to a corner gas station and buy some Delta 8, Delta 9, Delta 10. So why not just have the other part of the plant?
Well, and again, do we have to do everything for money? No, but again, when we talk about the and millions and hundreds of thousands of dollars that are going to other states
Yes.
where they have legalized marijuana. It will be interesting to see. It will be interesting to see if this even gets any discussion.
Well, the way things are going in that legislature, I don't know if they will. But I applaud State Senator Dianne Hasselbein fighting the good fight to do it, and I would love to see it happen. I think it would have tremendous amounts of positive impacts on the state.
Even Iowa has medical marijuana. you guys.
Iowa has medical
Of
marijuana.
all states.
People,
I'm looking at the texts come in on the text line. The word this hour is lights, plural. Lights. Someone listening here on WAUK just texted in light. It's got to be lights, Lights, in order to be a valid entry. So don't forget that spelling is important. Spelling is a thing.
and also this is your friendly reminder. If you were listening to the repeat of this episode somewhere in the 3 a.m. hour, the text to win grown-up gift statewide contest is not applicable right now, as this is a pre-recorded tape show you were listening to, which is not live.
We wish we could include you.
Yes!
We do wish we could include you, but if you're catching the rerun in the middle of the night, which is when our show reruns,
Yeah,
you can't enter, unfortunately. I would love to get your vote
go
because
for it.
we're still in second place.
Set an alarm set an alarm at 11 a.m. So at 11:06 you can get the word. Text it
in.
Go back to sleep.
Bingo, bongo, boongo.
Bob's
Done.
your uncle.
All right.
Yeah, I have strong opinions on this one.
We are going to have a cookie contest.
Speaking of marijuana,
Speaking of marijuana,
we're gonna
speaking
have
of the
some cookies.
munchies, next Tuesday we will exchange cookies.
again,
This is our second annual.
the second annual.
The second annual cookie exchange. It all goes on Calvin's grandmother, and Calvin's mother has to make the cookies. Do you have your recipe picked out?
Not even close. Yeah.
All right, I have mine picked out.
Great.
We'll talk about this a little bit more
Mine
tomorrow.
might look like an O&H Kringle. I'm just putting it out
No,
there.
that does not count. News is coming up next. Stay with us. You are listening to Matenaer On Air on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Take it away, boys. I sure do like those Christmas cookies, sugar. I sure do like those Christmas cookies, babe. The ones that look like Santa Claus, Christmas trees and bells and stars. I sure do like those Christmas cookies.
Good morning. Welcome back to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, and Calvin on the board, coming to you from our studio at Radio Park here in Racine. You can always join us. You can call, you can text, you can leave a comment on a live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. We do have breaking news as we come back on the air. Madison police are investigating a shooting at Abundant Life Christian School. Multiple injuries have been reported. This remains an active, ongoing investigation. They will release more information as it becomes available, but they are asking the public to stay away from the area. Roads will be blocked off along 4900 Buckeye Road in Madison. Drivers and community members asked to find alternate routes. Again, there is an investigation of Madison police of a shooting at Abundant Life Christian School in Madison, with multiple injuries reported. This is still an active and ongoing investigation. Avoid the area, please. It's very important so that they can do their work. And as soon as we get any updates on this, we will absolutely let you know. This is never news that we want to share.
Exactly, yeah.
Also, just a reminder that we are underway with our statewide text to win contest. The word this hour is lights, Lights. The word this hour is lights. You want to text that in via the Civic Media app, and you are in the running for an overnight stay at Chula Vista Resort. Your next chance to enter your next keyword coming up in the 1 o'clock hour with Todd Alba, and then in the 4 o'clock hour with Dom Salvia. Pat Kreitlow kicks it off in the morning in the 7 o'clock hour.
Correct.
Up North News Radio. And then, of course, right after Pat is Earl Ingram Jr. and his show across the Civic Media Radio Network. So keep it right here. Something new out of England that I saw this morning, and I just kind of loved.
Yeah.
A phone company in England has developed an AI granny to beat scammers at their own game.
Jane, whatever does this sound like?
It just so happens, Greg Bach, that we have sound of Grandmother Daisy.
Oh, that her name?
Her name is Daisy.
Ooh.
And she is there to engage with phone scammers. Calvin, let's play that little clip that we have from Grandma AI-generated Daisy.
Meet my friend, Daisy.
Hello, scammers. I'm your worst nightmare. I'm an AI created by O2 to waste phone scammers' time. So, W's then a dot.
3 times W and then dot.
I think your profession is bothering people, right?
I'm just trying to have a little chat.
It's nearly been an hour! For the love of...
Gosh, how time flies. It's showing me a picture of my cat, Fluffy.
It's showing you the picture of your cat, Fluffy.
Stop calling me dear, you stupid...
Got it, dear. Because while they're busy talking to me, they can't be scamming you. And let's face it, dear, I've got all the time in the world.
I love this so
Me
much.
too.
I love this so much.
It makes me so happy.
Daisy apparently breezily yammers on and on and on and on about her kitten Fluffy, and then her inability to follow scammers' instructions. So I don't know if they're trying to get her to download something, but she just continues to confound. You know, she plays along like she is trying to take part in this, and she's trying to follow their instructions, but then just isn't able to do so, and then keeps them on the phone for more than an hour.
I've seen other people do similar things where they will play dumb. Like, well, I guess what I need to just do, and these scammers will lose their minds. And I'm like, they're screaming at these people. Because as far as I know, like they want you to buy gift cards and then send them the money on the gift cards.
On the gift cards.
So that way,
right,
it's like free and clear. There's no trace.
Exactly.
You can't go to a
you
bank.
can't stop the payment on it.
Exactly. And these guys that I say, but this is taking that idea and really introducing that British charm of, not only am I going to keep you on the phone for an hour, I'm going to remain calm,
pleasant,
polite, and I want to talk to you. We're just having a nice chat, dear.
Did you see my cat Fluffy?
Yeah.
Do you know Fluffy does the silliest things?
And if I'm not mistaken, they said something to the effect that she's already talked to like 1,000 scammers. And
that's like a dream job.
Oh my God.
That's a dream job.
I think I could do it. I think if you gave me the tools on how to talk to scammers like Daisy, happily do it. I do it. I do an 8-hour shift. I would just sit there and be like, so what are your thoughts on the new Harry Potter TV show that's coming out soon?
How do you feel about plaid?
Do you like, some call it plaid, some people call it tartan. I guess it's just how dedicated you are to the pattern itself, dear. I would, nothing better than killing people with kindness sometimes.
And frustration.
Oh, absolutely.
The company is O2 in England. They are behind the scam baiting grandma called Daisy. She can keep them on the line for more than 40 minutes at a time. Daisy was trained with the help of YouTuber and software engineer Jim Browning, who has apparently made an online career exposing scammers to his 4.4 million subscribers.
He's probably one of the guys I follow.
Could be.
Yeah.
In order to bait scammers into wasting their time, this company uses the practice of number seeding. So they put AI Granny Daisy's phone number on lists that are used by scammers to find victims.
Yeah.
How they have access to that, I find interesting.
The phone numbers?
They have access to these lists that are used by scammers. Is that just anybody can find those?
Well, they put their those numbers are available via purchase. So if you have access to the lists themselves, whether you're purchasing them or for you're a government entity who either owns them or says we want them for whatever reason, you can find those. Those are on.
They're easily available.
Oh my gosh, yeah. The amount of times I have unsubscribed to a politician's email address for someone who I've given $20 to, and then all of a sudden some guy in Pennsylvania is like, I'm running for comptroller. I'm like, how did you get a hold of me? Because that campaign sold my information off.
The whole point of Grandma Daisy is to keep scammers away from real people and to raise awareness about the dangers of risky phone hoaxes. O2 company director of fraud says they're committed to playing their part in stopping scammers, investing in everything from firewall technology to block out scam texts to AI-powered spam call detection to keep customers safe. Crucially, Daisy is also a reminder that no matter how persuasive someone on the other end of the phone might be, they aren't always who you think they are.
No, and frankly, if someone calls you, like I feel very lucky, like I have an Android system and a Google phone. The scam technology on here is really great. If someone calls me and it like pops down, it usually will say suspected spam caller. I can block it out. Also, I have the ability to just I can screen your call. It'll say, hi, this person wants to know who you are. Then you have to leave me a little message. Then I get to choose whether or not. But most of these calls coming through are already being thrown right in the bin.
Right.
But I'm getting more of them in text form now.
I am too.
So the big thing is like, all right, hi, my name is Greg. I'm calling Jane. Jane should say, all right, send me all your information in an email with X, Y, and Z, a website, a legit email. And you can always see those things too. Like I can generate an email address that says Greg from Apple with your free Apple gift card. But if you look at the email address, it'll be like 4825 at blah, 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 blah. It doesn't look like an Apple address. So it takes a little bit of looking, but you need them to prove who they are to you.
Yeah, you got to be careful. Terry from Cross Plains texting in. Years ago, I used to tell telemarketers to call me back on another line because I couldn't hear them. I gave them the non-emergency phone number to the police department. My mom used to give the number of the cemetery. That's good, Terry.
I love
I like, this, although the poor cemetery workers, but it's quiet there.
Don't get a lot of calls there.
It's quiet.
You can really read a book. That's the other thing too, is like, if someone's texting you, you can ask them to say the word watermelon. Oh, I don't know why I would do that, but I just want to know what you're up to today. You having fun? Say watermelon. And then they're not programmed to say certain words because they have their scam language.
Gotcha. And
it's always things like I'm getting a lot. Hey, Greg, are we on for golf today? I'm like, you don't know.
You don't mean, yeah. The other thing I think is important to remind folks, and especially if you're on Facebook and some of those platforms and those quizzes. that show up. Where in the country should you live?
Yeah.
Where, what was your childhood pet's name?
Mm-hmm.
What was your mother's maiden name?
What
was the name of the street? What was the name of the street where you grew up?
Yep.
Those are all fishing expeditions
Yeah.
to try and narrow down your passwords.
Oh, wow.
Think about that.
Luckily,
they look like these little innocuous, fun.
Yeah.
Give us this information and I'll tell you, what your favorite food is and where you should live.
That's really weird. Last week I took a quiz on Facebook that said your top 5 favorite passwords. No.
There would be people who would fill that out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing, though, is that we all want to say, who's the sucker who would do that? I, unfortunately, am one of those suckers. I got sucked into one. But there are people out there who will just hear their grandkid's voice on the phone that's AI generated saying,
Right.
Grandma, I need $1,000. I'm trapped in France. Send it to me. Oh, of course. There's no second thought.
You have to double check this stuff.
And one of the things we've talked about, we've spoken to Lisa Schiller from the Better Business Bureau of Wisconsin. They do a lot of work in scam calling, scam email, scam texting. They have a thing called the Scam Tracker as well. Very invested in making sure you stay safe when it comes to your communication. So you can go to the Better Business Bureau of Wisconsin and you can find out that information, and you can also report things as well.
Which is that's the next step.
Agreed.
Right.
Yes.
Taking it to the next step so they can put them on their scam tracker list.
Something I was doing for a very short amount of time, I would get these texts from people saying, hey, so I heard you're single. I would play with them a little bit. Don't. The moment you get a text from a stranger and there's no context that makes sense,
block them
and report them, period. Block them and report them. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about, if they know you and they love you, you have their phone number already. But if it's an unrecognized phone number,
why should you not engage? Just because it proves that you are an actual human?
It proves you're a human, and they're going to get you in a conversation. They're not going to be like, hey, send me all your money. And be like, hey, would you like to invest in crypto? They get you in a conversation. Because it could be I don't think it's a real person, but it's what's called comment farms, where AI generates the discussion points. And it's not trying to get you to send them your credit card or anything like that. They're trying to get you into a
conversation.
Yeah.
So they can soften you up.
Yeah. Don't engage at all. If you get somebody that just says, hi, block, report, done.
That kind of reminds me of that new friend I made on Blue Sky, who is the grandma with 4 grandchildren,
God.
and she told me how nice my hair was.
So what a weird lead. Hey, nice hair.
And what's interesting about that is that 2 days later, the account had been deleted.
Yep. Yeah. Because what happens, a lot of people report those, especially with Blue Sky. Blue Sky is great with reporting, and they knock out accounts all the time.
Left and right.
Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. I did want to remind folks, and I'm sorry I regret having to tell you this, but this is what's happening. Madison police are investigating a shooting at Abundant Life Christian School in 4901 East Buckeye Road in Madison. Multiple injuries reported. The scene is active. You are being asked to avoid the area, please. They are still, again, this is an active situation at this school in Madison. It is at the Abundant Life Christian School. This broke just about 20 minutes ago. As soon as we get any updates, we will pass them along to you. Stay with us. You're listening to Matenaer On Air on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Never lets me go too deep. Summons me with just one beat. The price we pay is steep. I've been on fire, yet I still stay frozen. So deep in the night, my smooth contemplation
morning. Welcome back to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, and Sweet Calby on the board, coming to you from our studio here at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us, call or text, or leave a comment on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Breaking news about right after the 11:30 news out of Madison. Madison police are investigating a shooting at Abundant Life Christian School in Madison. It's at 4901 East Buckeye Road. Multiple injuries reported. The scene is considered active. You are asked to avoid the area. Those are all the details that we have right now. CNN has now picked it up. I believe the Associated Press has picked it up as well. Tragic news this morning. Madison police investigating a shooting at Abundant Life Christian School, 4901 East Buckeye Road, with multiple injuries reported. They're asking folks to stay away from that area. The last thing they need in a situation like this is people gawking.
Yes.
It just makes their jobs that much more difficult. And I'm sure we will have an update for you at the noon news and all throughout the day as more details become available for you. I know our news department is jumping on this as well. Just a reminder, you have a couple minutes left until noon to text the word LIGHTS, LIGHTS. Text the word LIGHTS via the Civic Media app. It is our statewide text to win adult gift list contest. We are playing this hour for an overnight stay at Chula Vista Resort in Wisconsin Dells. Your next chance in the 1 o'clock hour with Todd Alba, and then in the 4 p.m. hour with Dom Salvia. Right now, though, the word is LIGHTS, LIGHTS. You got to get the spelling right. It won't count otherwise.
LIGHTS.
There you go.
Lights plural.
Lights plural. All right, just about 11:54. Kelvin, that means it is time for
This Shouldn't Be a Thing.
If you ever see something you think should not be, send it into Greg and me at Jane Says, JANESAYS. Jane Says at civicmedia.us. This is from today.com. Headline reads, "These Ivy League baby names may grow on you," says baby name consultant. Parents want a name that gives off an air of polish, says baby name consultant Colleen Slagan. First of all,
whoa, there's a windup, folks.
There are baby name consultants.
Of course there are.
I thought that was your sister and your cousin and your mother and your girlfriends. This is someone's job?
Yeah, and I'm sure they make a lot of money doing it too.
Okay. Sometimes they call it the CEO test or the Supreme Court test, but baby name consultant Colleen Slagan says many expecting parents are looking for Ivy League names. They want a name that gives off an air of polish, that ages well and will work in any environment. Colleen is a mom of 3 herself. She says, obviously, I don't think that just because you named your kid Onyx, they can't be a CEO. Times have changed. Culture has changed. But I think that's where the parents are coming from. At their core, they want success for their children, and they're hoping to manifest that name that evokes sophistication. Some of the Ivy League boy names, according to Mrs. Slagan, Callaway and Frazier. You name your kid Callaway, he's going to get beat up really early on in his life. Callaway.
No, yeah.
Not Calvin. Callaway.
I wasn't thinking Calvin at any point during this conversation, but you...
Whitaker.
Ugh.
Brooks. Bartholomew. Richmond Beaumont Hawthorne III. Well, you put a number behind anything, and that's going to give you that ew. Stetson. Sure. Gwyneth Paltrow named her daughter after a piece of fruit. You can name your son after a hat.
That goes along with this whole, like, Yellowstone, Bass Reeves, Landman TV show culture we have now where guys think they're cowboys because they watch a TV show about it.
About cowboys.
Someone named my son Stetson. You live in Brookfield.
Ivy League girl names. Palmer. Vivian. I like Vivian. I think that's nice.
Vivian's not. That's a beautiful name.
That's a pretty name.
No, that shouldn't.
Sinclair.
That is not a girl's name?
I worked for a company called, no, not Sinclair. Kensington.
I hate that.
Wellesley, which is the name of a college.
Wellesley.
Yeah.
Well, that's your automatic kid. Like, my kids are going to be named Harvard, Exeter, Brown,
Wellesley, and Yale.
And MATC.
McKinley.
Oh, God.
And Georgina. Colleen Slagan, baby name consultant, also says if you want to find a quick way to create an Ivy League name for your baby, try using a surname or your last name as a first name. So feel free to name your child Matenaer Schmidt, and we'll see how that works out for you.
Matenaer On Air Schmidt. The fourth.
That wraps up today's episode of
This Shouldn't Be a Thing.
Coming up tomorrow, Representative Mark Pocan will be joining us. Our colleague and friend Terry Barr, the genie of just about everything at Civic Media. She will be here. We're going to talk about HAWS, Humane Animal Welfare Society in Waukesha. They have a big adoption event going on, so I hope you will join us for that. Thank you, Greg and Calvin, and all of our engineers. Without you, nothing works. Thank you most of all for calling and texting and listening. It absolutely means the world. I hope you find some joy today, even if it's just a little bit, and you have the chance to share it. Stay here. News is coming up next on the Civic Media Radio Network. We'll see you tomorrow.